I'm now to welcome Satyadeep Jain. He's the analyst, metals, mining, cement, utilities at Ambit Capital, joining us on the show right now. Satyadeep, hi, good to be speaking with you. Thanks so much for making time and speaking with us. I just wanted to begin by asking you, because you've just released a note which talks about the EV battery plays as well. Where does the Indian players stack versus, let's say, the international players, especially the Chinese ones? Do you think we have the right capabilities and technology at place?
Yes, so there is oversupply in China. We've actually mentioned that there is a pureed food company. It's typical like a dot-com boom where companies who've not set up battery, who have no experience of battery, a food company trying to enter this space. So a lot of that has happened. But now, given the overcapacity, there is moderation in supply growth in China. Also, they were looking at 6,000 gigawatt hour of capacity addition in the next few years. A lot of that has tapered down given the low margins. So barring few players, the biggest one is cattle and others. A lot of players are bleeding across the value chain, whether it is upstream, downstream, midstream. When we look at India in the Indian context, and we have US also, US and Europe, despite the overcapacity we are seeing largely in China and to some extent Korea also, there are ambitions for onshoring of manufacturing capacity because ultimately at the end of the day, you don't want one country to account for all the manufacturing growth, employment, current account surplus.
Okay, so there's a bit of a moderation in China. That's the good news. But just wanted to come back to the companies back home. How and whom would all of this impact in terms of India? If you can name some of the companies which are present in the system, which are either doing well or will be impacted the most. Any color there?
Yeah, in the report, we did mention that which companies have announced expansion plans. So within that 100 gigawatt hour of capacity expansion that you've outlined, there are many companies which have stated targets of setting up battery cell manufacturing capacity. It could be likes of Ola Electric looking at expansion. There is Reliance with a different technology. Then you go into Amara Raja, JSW Energy, and then there is a whole lot of companies that have announced, including Tata, one Tata entity, Adani. So there are different players looking to enter this space. There is one company, one capacity of about 1.4 gigawatt hour that has been commissioned by Ola Electric. But as we look at the plans, those are the plans, and we'll have to continue to monitor progress on these targets that they've rolled out. Are there any delays or not? Within the midstream space, also. There will be opportunities for making LFP. It could be, I don't think we have opportunities in the upstream space, but midstream, there could be opportunities for players making LFP cathode. There could be opportunities on anode end, on electrolyte separators. These are all midstream that go into battery cell manufacturing. And then you have battery foil, which is aluminum and copper.
Okay, that point is taken. But what about the pricing situation? Do you anticipate some sort of pricing pressure going ahead globally and in India as well? You talked about the China factor coming at play, but just wanted to understand the pricing and the financials.
Uh, when you talk about financials, because as of now in India, we don't have, as I mentioned, there's only one battery manufacturing capacity of 1.4 gigawatt hour. So there's no real battery. But if we don't have trade protection, then the company setting up capacities will not be able to generate the commensurate return. So you need, in addition to PLI, some incentives. If there are no incentives, then players won't be able to make money which is why there should be some indicative support from government before companies also look to set up capacities. There is, as I mentioned, global overcapacity that you look at players who are already entrenched in this space, barring certain bigger players like cattle, which is still making profit, and some other players. Many players in the value chain and incurring losses. So, given at some point typical capital cycle at play, there would be some rationalization of capacity, more semblance, more practicality. So there will be a point where capacity utilization picks up and you'll see some normalization of spreads for both midstream and downstream players. But when that happens is obviously anybody's guess right now. But especially in the Indian context, as I mentioned, the situation is somewhat similar to solar value chain, where global players, if you look at Chinese players and all, they are struggling at the current solar module and cell prices. But whereas given the protection we have and the opportunity to export to US, the Indian players as of now are making decent margins. So that similar thing needs to happen for battery, for players to put up investment and realize returns on their investment.
That point is taken, Satyadeep, but I wanted to shift focus and talk about metals a bit as well, because we understand Canada has now imposed tariffs on import of steel, aluminium, following the lead of US as well. How do you anticipate this to impact the global supply demand dynamics as well, and any Indian company that we should watch out for?
See, more than that, yes, US is already this morning. Canada also imposed reportedly in media on EVs. So there are many countries, US, Europe, Canada, looking in that direction. The ultimate question is actually what is going to happen in the Indian context. Because all the headwinds you've seen in terms of mining regulation and the competitive pressure on pricing. On mining regulation, recently in our note, we pointed out that there is a silver bullet for the government that they can, despite all these new section, the state, center, and there are different under the seventh schedule of the Constitution of India, states, center, and there's a concurrent list. All of these have different powers. Within state, you have 61 powers. Two of them pertain to mining, and which has been the bone of contention, the 49 and 50, which pertain to right of state to levy taxes on mining rights and mining land. So there seems basis the conversations we've had with the industry, and we point out, looking at the Supreme Court judgment, there's possibly unrestricted power for states to levy taxes on mining land. But all of that will be debated in the subsequent days or months on especially the retrospective part. And the center does have a silver bullet. And there's a historical precedent in 1991 where they raised royalty rates to compensate for the lower taxes for state. So if states do start raising taxes, the state center can anytime lower the royalty that is imposed. So that may not be as big a headwind as it is feared. But still, you are looking at a situation where you have more dumping happening, more prices coming down, which is disrupting the margins or maybe investment plans for the companies.
Okay, so that's about the metal sector. But Satyadeep, since you track the cement space actively as well, talk to me about the recent price hikes that have come through. We understand it's somewhere between 10 to 15 rupees. But the big question is it going to be sustainable? Because earlier price hikes had to be rolled back.
Yeah, at this moment, typically we see seasonal weakness for this period, and your typical pricing strength picks up later in the year. Sometimes companies announce hikes and they're rolled back subsequently, given the pricing competition. Sometimes you have discounts. So companies increase the billing price, but then give discounts. Your overall realization doesn't increase. So it's given the entire competitive situation we have, maybe we'll have to wait and watch if these prices are absorbed or not. There is increased competitive intensity. There are some capacities which have been acquired. They need to ramp up the utilization for those assets, which means you're pushing more product in the market till you raise utilization levels to your existing asset base. So in the near term, it's not sure that these prices will sustain or not. Something we'll have to wait and watch.
Okay, Satyadeep, on that note, we let you go. Appreciate you making time and speaking with us. So that's the latest coming in from the House of Ambit.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.